The most devastating cyber attack of early 2026 didn't start with a line of code. It didn't involve a zero-day exploit or a brute force attack on a server. It started with a phone ringing, and on the other end of that line wasn't a computer, but a very convincing liar. That single phone call would end up exposing the private secrets of Silicon Valley, threatening billion-dollar deals, and leaking the personal information of over 2 million people. This is the story of how a simple scam brought down one of tech's biggest data gatekeepers. Crunchbase. If you're in the world of tech, startups, or venture capital, that name is gold. It's a massive digital library, a market intelligence platform that tracks everything. Which startups are getting funded, who is investing in them, and which companies are operating in stealth mode, hidden from the public eye. It is, for all intents and purposes, the central nervous system of the innovation economy. And in January 2026, it became the target of one of the most notorious cybercrime groups on the planet. Shiny hunters aren't your typical hackers. They're digital extortionists, famous for high-profile hits on companies like Ticketmaster and Santander Bank. Their game isn't just stealing data, it's weaponizing it. They break in, grab the most sensitive files they can find, and then present the company with a choice. Pay a massive ransom, or watch your darkest secrets get plastered all over the internet. In December 2025, they launched a new campaign, one that was brilliantly simple and terrifyingly effective. They weren't looking for software vulnerabilities. They were hunting for something much weaker: people. Their target was any company using common single sign-on or SSO platforms like Okta. And their weapon of choice was voice phishing or vishing. Here's how the trap was set. An employee at Crunchbase gets a phone call. The person on the other end sounds professional, helpful, and urgent. They say they're from the IT help desk, investigating a security alert on the employee's account. To fix it, they need the employee to log in to a special portal to verify their identity. They guide the employee to a website. It looks perfect. It has the company logo, the familiar Okta login screen. It feels completely legitimate. The employee types in their username and password. Then, the system asks for their multi-factor authentication code, that little 6-digit number that pops up on their phone. They type that in too. But here's the chilling part. The attackers are on the other end, watching this happen in real time. The fake login page isn't just a static image, it's an interactive tool. As the employee enters their credentials, the hackers are instantly capturing them and using them to log into the real Crunchbase network. They were essentially puppeteering the employee's browser, using their legitimate access to walk right through the front door. Once inside, it was a smash and grab. Shiny hunters navigated through Crunchbase's corporate network and began exfiltrating everything they could find: signed contracts, internal financial documents, employee and partner HR files filled with personally identifiable information. But they also found the crown jewels. They found the data that makes Crunchbase. Potentially, this included private notes from venture capitalists, updates on their portfolios, and most critically, information on deals and companies that were still in stealth mode. This was the kind of data that could move markets and destroy fortunes. With the data secured, shiny hunters made their move. They contacted Crunchbase with their demand, "Pay up or we release it all." We don't know the exact amount they asked for, but it was likely in the millions. Crunchbase was now facing a nightmare scenario. Do you pay the criminals, funding their next operation and hoping they keep their word to delete the data? Or do you refuse, protect your principles, and brace for the consequences? Crunchbase refused to pay. They chose to fight. And on January 23rd, 2026, shiny hunters made good on their threat. They went to their data leak site on the dark web and uploaded a 400 megabyte compressed archive. The title was simple: Crunchbase. Inside were over 2 million records containing 3.1 million files, now available for anyone to download. The secrets of Silicon Valley were officially out. 3 days later, on January 26th, Crunchbase went public. They issued a statement confirming a threat actor exfiltrated certain documents. They announced they had engaged top cybersecurity experts and federal law enforcement, and that their systems were now secure, with no disruption to their operations. It was a textbook crisis communications response, but the damage was already done. The data was in the wild. The immediate focus for many was the personally identifiable information, the PII. Names, email addresses, and other sensitive details of employees, partners, and potentially subscribers were now public. This instantly opened the door to identity theft, targeted phishing campaigns, and all sorts of fraud. But as bad as that was, it wasn't the real bomb that had just been detonated. The real story, the one that sent a shockwave through the investment world, was hidden deeper in that data dump. Wait until you hear what they were really after. This wasn't just about stealing identities. It was about stealing the future. The real prize in the Crunchbase hack was the venture capital gold mine. Think about it. Crunchbase is where VCs track their investments and scout for new ones. The data shiny hunters stole could have contained the private phone numbers of some of the most powerful investors in the world. It could have held confidential updates on the performance of startup portfolios, information that is obsessively guarded. But the most dangerous information of all? Details on stealth mode startups. These are companies operating in secret, building a revolutionary product before their competitors even know they exist. A leak could expose their entire strategy, allowing a rival to copy their idea and beat them to market. It could also reveal which major VCs are backing them, information that could trigger a frenzy of investment, or, conversely, scare off other potential partners. The leak had the potential to disrupt billion-dollar deals and even fuel insider trading. The trust that underpins the entire B2B data ecosystem had been fundamentally broken, all because of a single convincing phone call. So how is this even possible? We're told constantly to use multi-factor authentication. We're told it's the lock on the digital door that keeps the bad guys out. This incident exposes the uncomfortable truth about MFA. Not all authentication is created equal. The method used by the Crunchbase employee was likely a one-time code sent via SMS, a push notification from an app, or maybe even a voice call. These methods are better than just a password, but they have a critical flaw. They are phishing vulnerable. If a hacker can trick you into entering that code on a fake website, it's just as compromised as your password. The hacker simply grabs the code you entered and uses it themselves within the few seconds that it's valid. This is what security experts call a real-time phishing, or an adversary-in-the-middle attack. And the tools to do it are becoming alarmingly common. Shiny hunters used sophisticated vishing kits, which are essentially pre-packaged attack platforms. They come with convincing fake login pages for services like Okta, Microsoft 365, and Google Workspace. They even include features to manage the social engineering script, making the IT support call sound more authentic. This is why there's a huge push in the security world towards phishing-resistant MFA. This means using things like hardware security keys, a small USB device like a YubiKey, or platform authenticators like Windows Hello or Apple's Face ID. With these methods, your authentication is tied directly to the physical device and the legitimate website. You can't be tricked into typing your authentication into a fake site because there's nothing to type. The cryptographic exchange happens securely in the background. The Crunchbase hack is a brutal lesson in the importance of the human firewall. You can have the most advanced security software in the world, but if an attacker can convince an employee to willingly hand over the keys, none of it matters. In the days leading up to the public leak, both Okta and Google's threat intelligence team had issued warnings about this exact campaign from shiny hunters. They saw it happening. They knew this vishing technique was being used in the wild. But for Crunchbase, the warning came too late. The data was leaked, the secrets were out, but the story was far from over. Now, the lawyers are circling. Almost immediately after the breach was confirmed, law firms like Schubert, Jonker, and Colby and Woods Law announced investigations into a potential class action lawsuit against Crunchbase. Their argument is straightforward. Crunchbase held some of the most sensitive business-to-business data on the planet. Did they fail in their duty to adequately protect it? Subscribers, employees, and venture partners whose data was exposed are now at risk of financial loss and identity theft. These lawsuits will probe whether Crunchbase's security measures, particularly its reliance on non-phishing resistant MFA, were sufficient given the value of the data they were protecting. The outcome of these cases could set a major precedent for the liability of software-as-a-service companies in the wake of a breach. This also sparked a fierce debate within the cybersecurity community about Crunchbase's decision not to pay the ransom. It's the classic pay or pray dilemma. On one hand, paying a ransom directly funds criminal enterprises and encourages more attacks. It paints a target on your back. On the other hand, refusing to pay, as Crunchbase did, often leads to exactly what happened here: a public data dump that directly harms your customers and employees. Experts are split. There's no easy answer, and companies are forced to make an impossible choice in a matter of hours. For Crunchbase, the attack was a contained disaster. They reported no business interruptions and moved quickly to secure their network. But for the individuals and companies whose data is now floating around the internet, the consequences are just beginning. This breach wasn't just an attack on one company. It was an attack on the fabric of trust that the tech industry is built on. In the end, the Crunchbase hack is a chilling reminder of a fundamental truth in our digital world. For all our talk of sophisticated AI defenses and complex encryption, the weakest point in any security system remains the human being. Shiny hunters didn't need to be technological geniuses. They just needed to be excellent psychologists. They exploited trust, urgency, and our natural inclination to be helpful. This wasn't a story about a software bug. It was a story about human bugs. And it proves that the most powerful hacking tool ever invented is, and perhaps always will be, a simple, convincing lie delivered over the phone. This is a wake-up call, not just for giant corporations, but for every single one of us. The same techniques used against Crunchbase are used every day to target personal bank accounts, email, and social media. Always be skeptical of unsolicited calls or messages asking you to log in or provide information, no matter how legitimate they seem. Verify independently. Hang up and call the company back using a number from their official website. The fight for our digital security is happening on all fronts, and understanding the enemy's tactics is our best defense. If you want to stay ahead of the threats and learn how to protect your digital life from attacks just like this one, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell. We go deep into this world every week. And now I want to hear from you. In the comments below, let me know. Have you ever received a suspicious call, text, or email from someone pretending to be from IT, your bank, or another service? What happened? Let's share our stories and learn from each other.